Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS in form. I'm Kaitlyn Neukam, and it is that time of the year, not necessarily more seasonally, but it is time to talk about IT, tech, and all that fun stuff that us normal people may not understand nearly as well. And we brought in our wonderful expert, Mr. Tim Pritchett from Matrix Integration. So welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
We've got quite a unique well, not necessarily unique, but more in-demand topic to talk about today. But I would love for you to tell us a little bit about what Matrix Integration does and what you do at Matrix Integration before we start.
Sure. Matrix Integration is located right here in Jasper, Indiana. 40-plus-year-old IT services company specializing in managed services. So think of it as really outsourced IT, having somebody else manage your environment for you, and professional services around IT. So networking, data centers, wireless, firewalls, in that realm. We primarily service customers here in Indiana and Kentucky, but have some clients, kind of all over the country.
Very good. And you guys are constantly expanding and growing. We had you in the news not too long ago. So Matrix is doing all kinds of fun stuff not necessarily behind the scenes, but all around our area. And, the world's constantly changing, adapting, technologies here, there, gone, advancing, all the crazy things. And one of the biggest things that people are hearing about right now is AI. Artificial intelligence, for those who don't know the shortened version. So what is AI for those who they just hear the term or hear that, or give us a dumbed down version of kind of what we're dealing with?
Sure. AI, artificial intelligence, has been around for a while. It's not new. The consumer version that people use right now, though, ChatGPT, is the most common one. That is new. Being able to, as just an everyday citizen, access a tool that can answer questions the way it answers and do work for you in the way it does. So thinking about AI, really it's machines that are trained, and in this specific example, trained to use human language, so readable human language to make decisions and give you answers. There's behind the scenes stuff that Matrix doesn't really specialize in, like large language models. We're not application developers and coders developing AI, but what we do hit in the AI realm is all the machines that those large language models run on. So if a software development company is building an AI model, they need a lot of high-powered machines to run that. That's where our specialty and expertise comes in, is designing those, installing them, and getting them tuned up to make their application run smoothly.
So for those who may have a hard time visualizing the hardware to it, it's not just some random person on the other side of a computer monitor giving you answers that sound good. This is programmed, this is in the technology, and it's built so that it can think faster than most people and respond faster with various prompts, right?
Right. Yeah, there was something, I don't know how many of the viewers will remember Ask Jeeves, or if you remember Ask Jeeves. I actually had a friend who worked for Ask Jeeves and had a certain amount of time after getting a page on a pager to answer a question and respond. So that was a human being. What's different with AI is that it's a machine that every time a question is asked, that language model is updating and it's learning. And ChatGPT, as an example, it will ask you, was my response good enough? Did that help you? And you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. The thumbs up responses train the model and retrain the model. And that's how it continues to either improve or be tricked by human being input and get way worse or biased or all the other, potential problems that come with AI.
And I mean, the way that you explain it, it's a bit of a self-sufficient software or unit in itself, if you think about it as that kind of, but it teaches itself. It learns from yes and no mistakes, and it's like a relationship giving back and forth with the people that use it. Is that about right?
I think that's a way to think of it. And, there are a lot of different types of AI, generative AI, and multiple layers that I'm not an expert on, because that's not really what we do at Matrix, developing those. But what I think is important for people to understand, and as we focus on security with AI, is say you're using your phone to ask ChatGPT or one of these generative AI programs a question. that data doesn't live on your phone. It's leaving your phone, and it's going to one of those machines I talked about that somebody like Matrix designed and installed and put on the back end of that process. That language model is running on there, and your question could live forever in that language model. There was an example in early 2023, maybe around May, where a Samsung employee had actually uploaded some proprietary code from Samsung into ChatGPT, and it turned into a leak situation where confidential information was input into a language model, and now it's there potentially forever. So Samsung's response was to issue, and this is how it became public, was to issue a memo for employees: you're no longer allowed to use ChatGPT or generative AI on work property or for work purposes. And other companies have kind of followed suit because of the, some of its paranoia, but also the security risk if you have internal information going into a language model and that language model is accessible by other users.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about that. I was just telling you before we started here, in our building, in all that we do creatively, we're having, more of my coworkers are having this AI where they'll give a little bit of information and then they ask for write-ups on a certain topic or ideas to make other things. So I don't know if I'm the only one here in our area, but I bet a lot of people are seeing more and more of this AI being utilized for daily tasks, for work tasks, and all of that stuff. So although security, always super important to watch out for, that's what Matrix definitely helps with. But how does AI boost productivity, if I could speak? AI would probably help me speak better. Productivity and cut costs for various businesses or individuals themselves.
Sure. There's a lot of fear around AI taking people's jobs. Again, I'm not an expert on that in terms of what jobs are at risk, what jobs are not. It's a tool. Just like any other tool that's come out throughout history, it's a tool. It's a very powerful tool, but it can help people move faster or more effectively or more efficiently. One example is, say you're an accountant and you work in Excel a lot and you're building some complicated Excel formula on a spreadsheet and it keeps breaking. You keep getting an error. You can take that formula, plug it into a generative AI tool and say, what's wrong with this formula? And typically get an answer back that fixes it. So from a coding perspective, I think people are cost saving and moving faster. And, in other pieces of the world, human resources, writing job descriptions, legal documents, not that those legal documents are set in stone, or maybe they shouldn't even be used, but people have used it, like, write me a draft will.
Yeah.
And it will generate something that's at least a template at that point. I think that's where we see a lot of people moving faster and more efficiently. From a Matrix perspective, generative AI is one piece, but we also see a lot with machine learning in applications. So, you're wireless in a large school corporation or manufacturing facility. Those wireless data points, how many users, when they're coming in, what kind of devices they're using, all starts to get recorded in centralized, kind of management planes. Those then go out to make decisions based on other users of the same product. So your products can become better, more efficient, faster, based on that data being compiled across other users.
Wow. Yeah, you don't think about all of that goes into it, but you do a fantastic job of explaining it layer by layer, and it does take a lot behind the scenes. Without giving away too much information, do you see any of your clients at Matrix who are already using AI tools to help with productivity or just various things in day-to-day life, I suppose?
Sure, yeah. There was a stat, I can't remember how many years ago it was or who came out with it. Maybe it was Microsoft or some large corporation came out and said by X year, AI will replace cybersecurity professionals. The reality is there's still a massive cybersecurity professional drought. And as a cybersecurity professional myself, I remember reading that stat and saying, challenge accepted.
Yes.
Let me go get more certifications. Let's see what happens. Where we see AI really being leveraged in the security realm is around tools like that. So monitoring tools, we partner with Arctic Wolf and Perch for security operations. So say you're a bank and you want 24/7 monitoring of your systems. A tool like that which has some AI components and human elements built in. So AI will say, hey, alert, we have a problem. And then a human being looks at that problem and says, yes, it's a problem, or no, it's not. And that's where that full replacement of cybersecurity professionals hasn't happened, because the machine only knows what humans told the machine to know at some point through coding or, training the machine. And we see on the security side, it makes it a lot more efficient. You don't have to have somebody in a smaller organization or a small university monitoring all your systems 24/7. You can trust an application that has some AI, machine learning built into it, to raise its hand and say, we have a problem. And then you take it as, a professional from there.
So the AI programs in themselves, they're sifting through, doing all the legwork for you. And when there's a problem, then you get to be the actual human on the receiving side, and you get to decide how that final action gets taken.
Right.
So,
we see it with automation. There's a lot of automation that's happening in all verticals, all industries, as a result of AI. Machine learning that can make decisions for people. Or, more often where I like to look at it is it makes a recommendation. It says, based on trends that I've seen, you can make this machine work faster and produce more widgets in this amount of time if you tuned this, or this part seems to be, bogging down the machine, replace it. That's where we see it really having a big impact.
So all of the positives, all of the negatives, there's a lot, and I mean, it just keeps coming out. We always hear new things about AI and how it's advancing, how it's for the better, for the worse, etc. Is there anything that you would mention to maybe individuals who might be interested in integrating more AI, or even businesses, stuff that you might precaution them against before signing up or using it for the first time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, consulting with experts and professionals, doing research is important. Some of the tools are really flashy and new and exciting, and depending on their use, could be totally harmless and mundane. But understanding what they do and where your data goes and how that, aligns with any corporate policy you have, with compliance like HIPAA or PCI compliance, making sure the important people in your company know where that alignment is critical before you say employees just go start using this, at will.
Yeah, and for individuals, I mean, I feel like it's a rule of thumb, as long as you're not giving out like your social security number and all that important details. I mean, although I'm never going to say it's harmless, you should, be able to use it and benefit from it versus seeing repercussions, right?
On generative AI fronts, asking questions of, what's the quickest way to get from here to there? And tell me the history of, the Chevy Camaro or whatever it is, instead of having to go out and do your research and, letting it do the research for you and send you something back, can be really beneficial. It can save you time. It can be a learning experience. I think when you shift into the education realm, which was my background in K-12, you start to have really complicated issues of, hey, somebody solved all their algebra problems for their homework using generative AI. Are we okay with that? Probably not, because now they don't know algebra, but what are you going to do about it? How do you find ways to leverage the tool and use it for good and make sure people are still, doing their jobs or students learning what they need to learn? No
writing thesis papers with all AI, right?
So that's been really interesting too. Yeah, total sidebar on it, but the tools that have been developed by a lot of times university students to catch AI trends and plagiarism using other AI are really interesting. And I encourage people, who are curious about it, just go do a Google search or ask ChatGPT, tell me about the tools that can stop somebody from plagiarizing a paper with AI.
So there's AI to counteract possible AI.
And eventually, AI talking to AI, or who knows, that may already be happening.
So it's very vast. It can be very detailed if you'd like it to be. I really enjoy your point of, if you're curious and you want to remain curious, go check it out. Feel the waters. See if you like it or not. If it's maybe not your thing, if you find that it's very efficient and helpful, that is fantastic. We always talk about security, of course, and just always practicing safe habits, whether you're traveling, like last time we had you in, or if you have your personal electronics and whatnot. So being safe and using things responsibly, I think that's always just a good rule of thumb.
First rule of thumb in IT. Yep.
Yes.
Safety.
So, Tim, where can we find more information about matrix integration? I know you guys are here in Jasper, but for those who may be watching from maybe Kentucky or other areas, how best can we get more information from you guys?
Sure. Starting at our website's the best place, matrixintegration.com. We do have offices kind of spread throughout our service delivery area, so we're here in Jasper. I actually live in Bloomington, Indiana, and work out of our office in Bloomington. We have an office in Louisville, Kentucky, and then work out of a space in Fishers, Indiana, up in Indianapolis as well. So, meeting with us, giving us a call. We're also on LinkedIn and other social media. So following along and reaching out if you have questions. We do have a contact form on our website, and that's usually where people start. Just ask us a question and see how we can help.
Which is fantastic. We love to hear that there are multiple areas of resources that people can look towards. And of course, we appreciate you coming all the way down to Jasper today and giving us this talk about AI, because it is for a lot of people, it's scary, but it's just like every other stigma, every other new thing. Once you start talking about it and you understand it a bit more, it becomes a little less scary, right?
Absolutely. And I appreciate the opportunity, as always.
Yes, our residential tech person. Well, anytime you want to come back, we'll have you on the couch. So we greatly appreciate all of your IT knowledge. And thank you so much at home for watching. This has been your 18 WJTS in.form with Tim Pritchett from Matrix Integration. And we are local people watching local people.